The transition from child stardom to adult content is a path fraught with controversy, but the recent pivot by Piper Rockelle has ignited a firestorm that goes far beyond simple internet outrage. While most of the commentary on social media has focused on the morality of her choice just months after turning 18, the true story lies in the corporate machinery operating behind the scenes. This is not just about a creator making a career change. It is about high-stakes agency contracts, the manipulation of digital footprints, and a series of financial receipts that suggest the move was engineered long before the public saw the first post. The transition to the blue site is often framed as a liberating personal choice, but when we look at the timeline and the players involved, a much more clinical business reality begins to emerge. Per reports emerging in January 2026, the timeline of Piper's entry into the adult industry suggests a level of professional coordination that contradicts the narrative of a spontaneous personal choice. The expectation from her audience was one of shock, but the reality is a calculated business maneuver designed to capitalize on years of high-engagement child stardom. Today, we are following the money and the clout to answer three critical questions. First, was this transition legally orchestrated by an outside agency before she even reached legal age? Second, how do the earnings from her debut compare to the massive legal debts left behind by her previous litigations? And third, what does the leaked fine print of modern spicy content contracts reveal about who really owns a creator's digital likeness in 2026? We are pulling back the curtain on the industry work that happens in the shadows, far away from the cameras and the public-facing personas. According to a series of exclusive interviews and public statements released between January 15 and January 20, 2026, Piper has claimed she is thriving off the hate. However, a closer look at the corporate filings and social media metrics tells a more complex story of financial desperation and agency pressure. In the world of high-tier influencers, nothing is accidental. Every post, every outfit, and every announcement is part of a broader fiscal strategy aimed at maintaining a lifestyle that is incredibly expensive to uphold. The most shocking aspect of this industry pivot isn't the content itself, but the alleged involvement of management firms that specialize in rebranding former teen idols. Per an unverified insider report circulating on industry forums on January 18, 2026, several high-tier agencies have developed what they call the 18-0 strategy. This involves grooming a creator's brand to maximize controversy the moment they hit legal age. This point is perhaps the most critical to understand. The shock we feel as an audience is the product being sold. In Piper's case, the groundwork was allegedly laid during a year of intense legal battles and public scrutiny involving her mother and former members of her content squad. The reality is that the adult industry is no longer a solo venture. It is an institutionalized machine. These agencies don't just provide a platform, they provide a script for the creator's life. According to the breakdown of industry standards in early 2026, these firms often employ brand architects who determine the exact date of a debut based on search engine optimization and historical engagement peaks. When we look at the financial receipts, the why becomes incredibly clear. According to public court records from the 2024 settlement of the Piper Squad lawsuit, the financial toll on the Rockelle family was immense. While the case settled, the legal fees and the loss of major brand deals created a massive deficit. Following the money reveals that her debut on the blue site wasn't just a career move, it was a debt repayment strategy. Per industry analysis on January 22, 2026, her initial launch generated an estimated seven-figure sum within the first 48 hours. This massive influx of capital was perfectly timed to resolve lingering liens and management fees that had been accruing since her YouTube peak. It is a classic case of what insiders call cashing out the clout. When mainstream avenues like family-friendly sponsorships dry up due to litigation, the industry work becomes the only viable way to service millions of dollars in debt. The level of coordination is further evidenced by the digital trail. Per social media tracking data from late 2025, there was a coordinated shift in the types of images and captions being posted to her mainstream accounts. It wasn't accidental, it was a warm-up period dictated by a management contract. We've seen these contracts before. According to a leaked agency template from March 2025, creators are often required to sign over likeness rights that allow agencies to use AI-driven chatbots to interact with fans. This means that while fans believe they are talking to their favorite star, they are actually talking to a professional chatter or an algorithm designed to maximize tips. These chatters operate on commission, using psychological triggers to extract higher and higher payments from subscribers who believe they are building a personal connection with a celebrity. This brings us to the most controversial point of the reality versus expectation map. The expectation is that Piper is finally free and in control of her own image. The reality, per the fine print of these 2026 agency agreements, is that she may have less control than ever. These contracts often include non-compete clauses and perpetual likeness rights. If she ever decides to leave the industry, the agency may still own the right to use her AI-generated image to continue producing content. This is the dark side of the modern adult industry. Once you opt in, the corporate entity owns the you that exists on the screen forever. According to an analysis by legal experts in the digital media space on January 24, 2026, these contracts are often so restrictive that they mirror the predatory music industry deals of the 90s. The creator provides the face, but the agency owns the data, the login, and the future. As we look at the timeline, the contradictions become glaring. On one hand, Piper tells her followers in a January 16, 2026 exclusive that she thrives on the hate and is making her own decisions. On the other hand, the corporate architecture surrounding her launch, the professional lighting, the high-end production teams, and the aggressive PR rollout suggests a team of 20 people behind every spontaneous post. Per an industry whistleblower on January 23, 2026, the rollout was planned 18 months in advance, with specific milestones for when to trigger outrage marketing. Outrage marketing is a specific tactic where the agency intentionally leaks a controversial image or statement to trigger a wave of negative press, knowing that the hate clicks will convert to paid subscribers. It's a cynical but highly effective way to bypass traditional advertising costs. The pattern is becoming a standard operating procedure for the industry. You take a creator with a pre-existing, highly engaged audience, wait for a legal or financial crisis to create a need, and then provide the infrastructure for a spicy content pivot. The reality is that the creator becomes a high-yielding asset for the agency, which often takes between 20 to 50% of the gross revenue. When you see a creator flexing a new luxury car or a mansion, the receipts usually show that the agency is the one holding the title. This is the agency trap that many young stars fall into. They are given an upfront payment to solve an immediate problem, like a lawsuit or a tax bill, but in exchange, they give away the most valuable years of their earning potential. Furthermore, we have to look at the psychological toll of this management style. Per a deep dive by industry journalists on January 19, 2026, many creators who pivot to spicy work under agency pressure report a sense of digital dissociation. Because the agency handles the DMs, the comments, and the content scheduling, the creator feels like a spectator in their own life. This dissociation is actually a feature of the agency model, not a bug. It allows the creator to continue producing content even when they are facing massive public backlash because they aren't the ones actually reading the vitriol. The agency acts as a firewall, protecting the asset while simultaneously stripping away its autonomy. Per the leaked documents from an anonymous management source on January 21, 2026, the specific onboarding process for Piper involved a social media sanitization phase. This is where old, wholesome content is systematically archived or deleted to make way for the new aesthetic. This is done to prevent the platforms from flagging the account for inconsistent branding, which could hurt the algorithm's reach. According to the source, this process started as early as June 2025. This timeline completely destroys the narrative that this was a sudden adult realization. It was a slow-motion rebranding that required months of technical preparation. When we examine the PR moves, the narrative of freedom becomes even more suspect. According to communications experts who analyzed Piper's recent podcast appearances in late January 2026, her talking points are identical to those used by other creators managed by the same high-profile agency. The phrases, "I'm in my era," "I'm finally myself," and "I'm making more money than ever" are described by experts as reputation armor. These are pre-scripted lines designed to shut down critical questioning and paint anyone who disagrees as jealous or stuck in the past. It's a defensive mechanism that protects the agency's investment. It is a defensive mechanism that protects the agency's investment by making the creator appear untouchable. Looking ahead, the impact on Piper's career is irreversible. While the short-term financial gain is undeniable, the long-term clout cost is high. Per marketing experts, the transition to adult work effectively kills any chance of returning to mainstream, family-friendly brands or major film roles. The industry game is to extract as much value as possible in the first 24 months before the newness wears off and the creator is replaced by the next 18-year-old on the agency's roster. According to a market projection for 2027, the shelf life of a former child star in the spicy content world is shrinking. As more creators join the platform, the novelty factor decreases and agencies are forced to push more extreme marketing tactics to keep the revenue flowing. In many ways, Piper is the test case for the future of the influencer to industry pipeline. If she remains profitable despite the controversy, it will embolden agencies to target even more young stars. Per reports from talent agents in Hollywood on January 23, 2026, several other former teen sensations are currently in pre-launch phases with similar management firms. This is the new reality of the digital economy. Celebrity is no longer a career, it is a resource to be mined. Once the mainstream resource is exhausted, the agency moves to the spicy resource. The receipts we have uncovered suggest that the expectation of an independent woman taking charge of her destiny is a carefully crafted illusion. The reality is a girl who was caught in a perfect storm of legal debt, family pressure, and predatory agency tactics. According to the financial data, the majority of the money being generated isn't staying in her pocket. It's going to pay off the ghosts of her past and the handlers of her present. This is the cycle of the industry work that no one talks about on camera. In conclusion, the Piper Rockelle scandal is a masterclass in modern industry manipulation. We have seen how the expectation of personal empowerment is often a mask for agency-driven debt recovery. We have seen how the receipts of success are often shared with silent partners who own the digital keys to the creator's identity. And we have seen that in the adult industry of 2026, the most dangerous thing you can sign isn't a photo release, it's a management contract. The industry is designed to make you think you're winning while it systematically devalues your long-term brand for short-term gains. This is just one layer of the velvet rope. The industry is changing faster than the laws can keep up, and the players are getting more sophisticated every day. We are seeing a shift where the digital persona is becoming more valuable than the actual person. If you want to understand the true mechanics of how the biggest names in the game are being managed, manipulated, and marketed, you need to see the full picture. The contracts are getting more complex, the AI is getting more human, and the agencies are getting more powerful. For the deep dive into the contracts, the AI chatbots, and the hidden owners of the blue site, you need to watch our Velvet Rope Industry Secrets playlist. The game is being played right in front of you. It's time you learned the rules. Every click, every subscription, and every like is a data point for an agency that has already planned out the next 5 years of these creators' lives. Don't just watch the drama. understand the business. The story of Piper Rockelle is a warning to every young creator out there. The spotlight is bright, but it's also very hot. And if you're not careful, the people who claim to be protecting you will be the ones who watch you burn for a 20% commission. According to the final industry wrap-up for the month of January 2026, the engagement on these pivot stories is at an all-time high, ensuring that this cycle will repeat until the audience stops buying in to the illusion of the spontaneous choice. Until then, the receipts will continue to tell the real story of what's happening behind the velvet rope.